I get so excited when I see across the news all over the internet that finally France is getting chased out of the Sahel region. They've had army bases and army control in those regions, causing conflict, causing wars. But unfortunately, the young leaders of Africa, the young people of Africa, if you look at the leaders, the leader of Senegal, the new president, a young blood. If you look at Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, young blood. These are just a few examples which shows you that we need rejuvenation in leadership in Africa. We need, when we are talking about needing new blood and young generation to take over in Africa, we are not talking nonsense, because these young people, it might have sound terrible sometimes that like Ibrahim Traore got to power by coup, but it is because they have realized that if we want to change anything in Africa, we need to get rid of these old people. We need to get rid of the old leadership, which are being used, being puppets, enjoying the benefits of being paid by the Western colonizers in order to keep the status quo going. And the young people realize that the first stumbling block we need to deal with is our leadership before we start dealing with. And I do respect that, and I'm so glad. And to all African countries, I hope this is a lesson. I hope you can see it. Old leaders, please, we respect all the work that you have done for Africa, but you must remember this is time for the new leadership. Pave way for young people to get into power so that we can take Africa to a different direction. For those who do not know much about the Sahel region, why France is being chased out, what is this all about? We all know the history of Africa. European countries divided Africa and they took different regions, and France in particular took most countries in within the Sahel region. And when the war was fought and liberation and independence was obtained, France did not leave completely. They decided to come up with a bullshit pact with rules and regulation that and conditions that their former colonies will remain their colonies, because those conditions does not grant any country freedom. You ask yourself, who would sign this bullshit? Why did those leaders at the moment capitulated and agreed to sign this garbage pact? It simply meant that those countries were not free at all. And I shall just read from my notes here in a moment, just to go through what are the conditions that were stipulated in this stupid pact, which literally means those countries we're still colonies, right? We're still colonized by France. To this day, some countries in this region haven't still woken up. They are uh, beginning to wake up, but these garbage rules are still in place, which is crazy. And I believe you me, if you read through these conditions of this pact, you would ask yourself, if that doesn't bother you, I don't know what else will bother you. Like I said earlier in this video, I will be um, reading from my notes here because it's just a lot of points to remember from the top of my head. But like I said, if this doesn't continue, I don't know what will. If this doesn't continue as an African about the freedom of Africa, of African nations from the Western countries, I don't know what will. Point number one of the conditions that this pact had, um, in essence, they were saying this is um, um, former colonies paying back for they called it colonial debt, paying back for what the colonizer have improved in their country. Instead of them paying back to us what they have done to us, what they have taken away from us, they set a condition that African colonies are the ones who must pay them. Point number one, monetary control, right? The former colonies were to adopt the CFA franc, the French money, and this agreement tied their monetary policies to France, and a significant portion of their foreign exchange reserve in about initially it was 65% and currently was reduced to 50%. Their foreign exchange reserves were supposed to be kept in France by the French government, not by the country themselves. You generate money, you must give it to us so that we must keep it for you. How insane is that, and how stupid is that? Point number two: defense, military, and cooperation. Permanent French military bases. So France were to keep permanent military bases in the former countries. Everything is French. You should understand that when they are keeping their military bases in your country, everything is theirs. You have literally you have soldiers in your country which are wearing another country's uniform, and have that uniform has another country's flag on it. But you say yourself, no, we are independent. We are our own people. How much of a security threat is that? But this is the conditions that the French government decided to set. Okay, same on the military. Exclusive defense agreements. It, it they signed agreements that if you need help from any military support, you must get it from us as the French, and also training and equipment. You must get it from us. The French military where to train the African military, which you know how much of a security threat that is. If your military is being trained and influenced by someone else, by a foreign country or foreign force or foreign soldier. Then we go to number three: economic dependence, exclusive trade rights. Okay, right. Former colonies were required to prioritize trade with France, limiting their ability to develop diversified trading relations with other countries. Okay, so when it comes to trading, you must always trade with us. France should be your main trading partner. Key companies privileges, key sectors like natural resources, infrastructure, and utilities were often uh, dominated by French companies, ensuring economic benefits for them. It also goes the same. You must make sure most of you give the rights to expropriate to exploit the natural resources in your countries to the French, so that they can keep on benefiting. Import restrictions. Countries were also restricted where they can import from. They must import from France. All the products that they should import must be from France. Otherwise, they should seek permission from the French government, whether they can also import from other countries. All right, we go to political influence. Okay, this was a mess. All right, so they had so much control on who gets power, who is sitting. They were putting their puppet presidents, people who are going to do their bidding, and to make sure their interest is protected. And they even on under military they had condition that since they already have military in your country, they have the right to invade if as and when they feel like their interest is being threatened. That is insane. And also they had control over foreign policy in those countries, cultural and education. Obviously, we all know those all francophone countries, their method of their language, their main language, were forced that the main language should be French, right? We all know this. They did not learn any other languages, no English. They only were forced to use French as their means of tutoring. All right, the last point: control over natural resources, exclusive exploitation rights. So French companies were granted priority to access natural resources. Like oil, gas, uranium, and minerals. We all know the Sahel region is also very rich in terms of these minerals, uranium, and stuff like this. But and the French made it so that no other countries should be given priority to mine and exploit those resources except for French. And revenue sharing, a significant portion of the profits from resources extraction often flowed back to French companies or the state. Uh, this is mind-boggling. If you think about it, as a sovereign country, how do to this day there are still countries where this pact is still in place 2024, but we still have a condition like this thanks to young men like Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, and obviously Faye of Senegal. Now Chad is taking the same step towards stopping this nonsense. At the first place, the question is, what leader in his right mind would sign for this? Obviously, the Secretary of Guinea once tried to refuse and reject this, and they punished Guinea, caused chaos with the monetary policies, and made Guinea a dysfunctional state, and obviously that's set as an example for the rest of the Francophone colonies, so that no one should be able to stand up against them. But we need to wake up as Africa. We need to wake up and stop this nonsense. This has to come to an end, and I'm glad something is happening. I'm happy we are moving in the right direction. It gives positive, at least a little bit of positivity, to see that there's a little bit of light, there's a little bit of hope in this situation, irregardless. Um, Please remember to subscribe to this channel. We need to grow this channel. We need to grow the community so that we can share ideas as Africans.